Good morning, how are we? Another gorgeous morning, but still no trips to New Covent Garden Flower Market. So I thought I would read another extract from The Flower Market Year, which is the book that I wrote and published last year, inspired by what I see over 12 months in New Covent Garden Flower Market in Nine Elms here in London. This is from the April chapter of The Flower Market Year. A royal event. When the Prince of Wales married the Duchess of Cornwall in 2005, the wedding reception was due to take place at Windsor Castle on the 8th of April. I was asked to create floral decorations to greet the guests as they arrived, as well as those in the grand reception room and the grand staircase that ascend to it. A magnificent and vast malachite urn holds court in the window at the far end of the grand reception room, and it's crying out to be filled with boughs and branches of every colour and variety of blossoming tree and shrub from the royal estate. So I was lucky enough to be invited to plunder the verdant glades and copses of Windsor Great Park and the Savile Garden. It felt so wrong, but also so right, to be able to point to the most magnificent and stunning stems and request that they be felled for my delight and for the urn. With our trailers filled, we headed back to Home Farm to cut and condition, hoping that the buds would begin to open and the colours reveal themselves in time. Creating the right arrangement against the backdrop of the grand staircase proved a challenge. An arsenal of military paraphernalia adorns the honey-hued walls, and flanked by bronze cannons and pyramids of cannonballs, ancestors of our Queen, carved and cast in bronze and stone, gaze down on stacks of drums beneath, which rise up like giant tiered wedding cakes. My decoration needed to be bold enough to be noticed, detailed enough to hold people's interest for a few lingering moments, and wonderful enough to give a warm floral welcome to this special wedding celebration. And I needed a pair of them to flank the top of the stairs and guide guests to the Waterloo chamber ahead. Right from the start, I had wanted the Prince of Wales' wedding to feature an array of emblematic daffodils. As well as being the Welsh national flower, the daffodil works best in abundance. But most narcissi and daffodils are coming to an end by April, so obtaining the volume and variety required to do justice to the occasion would be a challenge. The cry went out across the land for all and every grower to collect and cosset every last blooming stem. We managed to obtain the many thousands of stems required and create the conditions to arrest further flowering. All was set. We had made it. And then the unthinkable happened. The Pope, His Holiness John Paul II, died, and the Prince of Wales had to postpone his wedding by 24 hours. Although another day might not seem much, flowers such as daffodils and narcissus, once they are fully flowering, have a finite window of being wonderful, and that clock was already ticking. A day after we planned to be doing so, Vans, Flowers and Florists arrived at Windsor, where everything else was slightly discombobulated by the delay too. What should have happened on Thursday was now taking place on Friday. So Team License set to, and we created our decorations with the help of a scaffold tower, as the malachite urn was filled with an 8-metre tall feast of spring gorgeousness. At the top of the grand staircase, we positioned our pair of chicken wire and timber frames and began to work with our precious gold, the daffodils and narcissus. Normally I avoid floral foam for soft spring stems and would arrange them in water. And just because these decorations were 3.5 metres tall, it didn't mean we had to work any differently. So the bunches were arranged in a multitude of plastic cones, each with a small reservoir of water to keep the flowers fresh. Throughout the day, the pair of columns of wonderfully bright blooms were created, with beneath them a garden-inspired assortment of mosses with hellebores, fritillarias and muscari in bloom. The finishing flourish to each was a topiary Prince of Wales feathers, created from chicken wire and from boxwood, clipped to resemble the real thing. I'm told these provided a moment of light relief when spotted by a nervous bride-to-be as her future mother-in-law gave her a tour of the floral decorations the night before the wedding. Mrs. Parker Bowles that wasn't the only one to have spent an anxious night before the big day. As I departed that Friday night, the historic heating system of Windsor Castle was being fired up at full steam to ensure that all would be cosy and comfortable for guests the following day. Great for them, but